I think the most painful thing is when you watch someone as they get older hold on to something that's no longer there. And I've been accused of that, but that was a misunderstanding of what I was trying to do. In many ways, I was trying to break this kind of hypnotic hold of where the past becomes the constant narrative to everything that we were doing. Even when I would do a solo album, people say, well, it doesn't sound like a Smashing. It's like I couldn't just be myself. I was trying to obviously move into new frontiers, and it wasn't even being judged whether I was moving into new frontiers successfully. It was being judged of whether or not it measured up against Smashing Pumpkins' anthemic, grandiose music. Smashing Pumpkins' old music was designed to be grandiose because it was meant to take that narrative on. There was a generation that was interested, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, so you need to play bigger shows, stuff like that. Well, I found those things in myself along the way, and then they become part of your character. My point of having a problem with nostalgia acts for the artists that are from the grunge generation is it basically subverts the original meaning of the grunge generation's music, which was rebellion. So basically, everybody in their 40s are now all phoning it in. Let's call it for what it is. And yeah, maybe we'll put on one new song on the Greatest Hits album, but it's not really getting back on the horse. We need those artists to step up and take on the social issues, particularly, that are going on right now. And they're choosing an economic model over a socio-political one. So as far as I'm concerned, them, because they're lazy or they're scared. I grew up in a generation that had a message. Where's that message? If it's going to be subverted by simple economic downturns, well, then the message wasn't real at all. No better case than Pavement. Complaining about me in the 90s, now out doing the Greatest Hits tour. Why? Ka-ching, cashing in. Maybe that's why they were obsessed with integrity, because they didn't have any. We play just as many old songs as any other band. And we should. We have some great songs from the past. And I understand people come to the shows that they want to hear those songs too. It's just when that becomes the story. If that is the story, then I'm dead as an artist and there's no future for my band. So what the f*** am I doing standing there? I'm nothing but a rodeo clown doing the act from 25 years ago. That's not why I got into this. And I don't like that expectation. As far as I'm concerned, f*** that expectation. Now, if you come to hear what the band's about, and in the midst of that, we want to create a historical context and an emotional context to tell a story, great. I just went to see Roger Waters do The Wall for a second time. Now that's a work from 1979, 1980. He didn't play but one new song in the entire set. But he's recontextualized the work to have a modern air. He's talking about, everything from Apple to Gulf Wars and all this stuff. He's recontextualized the work. He's updated for modern audiences. Well, that's the same thing we do. We update our music for this audience in this time. It's not a sentimental, let's go back to the old days. The old days. The old days weren't that great. I don't like this sentimentalism. It's killing our business, and it's not good for culture. Rock and roll should be at the center of this culture, and it's not. It's been marginalized because everyone's afraid. Artists drive the narrative. They always have. That's why governments are afraid of artists. Only rock and roll bands and radical artists, filmmakers, poets can really change up from the outside in, because that's the power of the word. That's the power of the song. Hence, artists need to stand up and sing those political and revolutionary songs. That's what we're here for at the end of the day. But I've been very critical of the lack of my generation standing up and having something to say about what is a very intense time economically and politically in our country, particularly. For me, it's the other side to Rush, that super dark Cygnus stuff. That's where it's like, there's an art band in there, for sure. I mean, if they had not been prog and they'd grown up in a different time, let's say they were a new band right now, I mean, Pitchfork be all over them because they're strange as